Hi guys, hello, welcome. We are finally getting around to doing a collection walkthrough today. We're gonna be walking through what you see in frame right now, which is my technically dining room. This is my dining table that you see right here. If you have not heard me yap about this before, I have like an open concept house. So it's like the dining room, kitchen, living room are all one big open area. So it's just kind of like this is one side of the house, and then I've got the living room in this direction, and then the kitchen is behind where the camera is. Right now, we have got south-facing windows on that side, which you cannot see where the French doors are. So these are south, and then over here is east. Ton of grow lights everywhere, and then this is the other side. So this is like my living room. There are not nearly as many plants over here. Okay, what? What? You're here. No, no. You're driving me crazy. You start barking. Stop barking. I honestly do not remember the last time I did a collection walkthrough. I know that it has been a while, and I can pretty much guarantee this is a totally different collection. And here's Astro. Oh my God, Sully's like trying to tackle me. He is doing very well. We love him very much. Everyone is getting along. They're gonna go attack each other now. Not actually attack, they're just wrestling, you know. But anyways, yeah, so this is like pretty much a totally different collection, probably than my previous walkthroughs or videos where I've done like a total collection, whatever, because I have gotten rid of so many plants. So many plants because, as I've mentioned a million times, I have a plant business. I have a tent full of anthurium. I do not have enough energy or mental availability to care for 1,000 plants. So all the ones that I was kind of iffy about, they got out of here. All the ones that have been giving me issues with pests, which unfortunately includes my philodendron Campii Lynette, which was one of my favorite plants, but that plant literally would not ever not have spider mites. It did not matter how much I treated that plant. They literally would never go away, and I had chopped her down now just to wet sticks, and we're gonna see if she grows back, and we'll try again. I even like soaked the wet sticks in a pest solution, and we're just gonna see what happened because that plant was driving me absolutely insane. So pretty much everything that is left is pretty easy care, low maintenance, because I have got a whole tent of fussy anthurium to deal with, and I just do not have time for that. I do not have time for that in 2 locations. And as always, I'm trying to record and it's cloudy and then the sun comes out. So we're gonna be dealing with fluctuating lighting conditions as per usual. But anyways, I guess I should show you kind of like what it looks like right now. So for now we have got, this shelf right here used to have 4 levels. I don't know if you can see the lower levels where I have my little acrobars down there still. But this used to have 2 more shelves that I took out because I moved all of my Hoya, you will see in a minute, but like downwards down here, or most of my Hoya. I still have some in the acrobar as well, but I needed an area to keep some of my bigger plants like this epiprimnum that I have on a moss pole, and I just did not have enough vertical space. So we adjusted that a little bit, but I did want to start over here because I wanted to talk about a couple of things in this area. I should probably move you a little closer. So the first thing to note is right here, which is my Syngonium chiapense. This one I just recently repot. I had totally chopped her up, as I do honestly very frequently because she grows so fast. And she's got some pretty good variegation on some of the leaves, like that one is really good. We've got like a half moon back there. This is a new leaf that looks really good. And so I potted up most of my top cuts with better variegation to kind of just regrow them again because she really grows just so fast. I almost can't keep up with it, and she dries out super fast. So I'm constantly propagating her, and I will definitely have some of those to share in the future on the website. But for now, she is just restarting again. And I hung her over here because my plan is to kind of have her grow upwards up this wall, and I can kind of put hooks up there. Now, the downside of that is she will definitely try to grow into the wall because she has got lots of aerial roots. So I'm thinking about putting maybe like a plank or something back there for her to grow up. And hopefully that will work out. She's kind of readjusting herself to where the light is right now, so she looks crazy. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about while we are over here in this location is my Epipremnum. What is this? Epipremnum pinnatum, I think, because it's the more angular leaf. And this is the like mint tricolor or whatever. And I had to do a chop and extend on her because she was getting, oh my Lord. The moss pole was just getting out of control because, as you all know, Epipremnum just grow so freaking fast. It is almost impossible to keep up with. And she did really super well with the chop and extend. We have got some pretty fenestrations. We've got those little inner fenestrations, whatever those are called. I can't remember. And she is just putting out, that you can see right now, this giant new leaf. This was her first leaf that she put out since the chop and extend, which literally did not take any kind of a beating. Normally they're like a little bit smaller, you know, on that first leaf after the chop, but she did not care whatsoever. And I just love the way Epipremnum look when you put them on a moss pole and they get all fenestrated and everything. I've got another one, the Albo, that I was trying to grow up a moss pole, which you'll see in a moment. But it is not going super well. Sorry, my niece was calling me. But I do also have this one. This is the one, the Albo. And I wanted to grow this up a moss pole to be, you see there's a big difference between the last one and this one. This one had some leaves like from when I took cuttings. These are like the new growth since then. And they all just yellowed off and died. And these are looking super wilty. So I'm just kind of, I don't know, because there's like another growth point. I don't know if you can see that down in here too. And these two are growing, and I would love to have like a big fenestrated version of the Albo, but this one's just giving me a lot of grief. And then I recently took some cuttings from my Epipremnum, my Marble Queen pothos, and it's the like super duper variegated version. I think people have called it Snow Queen before, is what I've heard it referred to as Snow Queen, because it's like really, really white. And I would like to have that growing up a moss pole because I would like to see those leaves get really big, but I also want to limit the number of moss poles that I have. So I'm thinking about just switching this one out for the other one, the other pothos, the Marble Queen, the Snow Queen. Snow Queen, that's what I just said. And see if that kind of does better, because this one is not wanting to grow. It's been on here for like 2 or 3 months now. And then one more plant that I wanted to talk about before we actually start walking around, and I did just water this one, so this may be not the best. So this is an Adelonema, and I cannot remember the variety, but I actually got this from the Green Escape, and I got 2 little baby starter plugs because I wasn't sure if they would survive, because I'd heard that this one's like a little bit fussy. And you can see she is rooted as can be, and she has grown so much. But she has got this brand new leaf that I wanted to show you, and like, holy moly. I'd have to insert some B-roll on here because I don't think the lighting is good enough to really capture how red the veins are in this leaf. But this one is so gorgeous, and it has like a really velvety underside and a really pretty growth pattern. And I really loved growing this. If anything, it is growing a little more quickly than I can keep up with, because this could ideally probably use a repot before too long because we've got roots coming out of the bottom. But these emergent leaves just have the most gorgeous color veins. It's like this like neon fiery pinkish red against that lime green leaf. It's just so gorgeous. Alrighty guys, so this is a little bit of a better look at what my like main outside of the tent growing area looks like. This is that shelf that I was talking about that previously had 4 of these tiers that I removed these 2. So that's going to be the first like really noticeable difference since I have updated a lot of this. I also took out the glass from this shelf right here and the one down there. So some of these plants, like these are all Hoya. Everything right here is Hoya. But these are the ones that are starting to grow upwards more, so they need more vertical space. And then I have a couple of my larger alocasia over here that also needed more vertical space, so I took out those glass panels. And these are just the Vitio shelves from IKEA that everybody has, so I'm sure y'all are familiar with those. And then this is one that I got off of Amazon like a couple of years ago. But here is that Epiprimnum in its natural habitat here, its main spot, and then the Syngonium chiapense that I was talking about. You can see the variegation a lot better on my phone camera. Like, how pretty is that? This plant just has some of the best variegation out there, out of any genus, honestly. And then there is that Adelonema. Oh, you can see the coloration a lot better here. Gosh, those veins are so pretty. And then I have got my little Labasia turtleback that I got from Publix a while ago. And this one has not been loving life. That is for sure. I know these are often grown as terrarium plants, and I was determined to grow it like in a normal way because I want to be able to enjoy it and look at it out here and not like set up a whole terrarium for it or anything. But the pot that I got actually had 2 plants in it. So I have this one out here, and then I've got one in my bathroom as well. And this one is sitting literally right under the humidifier. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it will improve. I don't think it's given me a new leaf since it got here. Maybe this one. This might have been in my carry because it's kind of wonky looking, which is why I'm thinking that. And then we have got my little Acrobar from IKEA also, shelves right here. And we have got some of my Hoya inside. So these are both all Hoya as well. And I recently talked about this, but I found some root mealybugs on some of my Hoya. So I had to go through and repot and treat almost all of them, which you can see is quite a large amount. So that was definitely not fun. The big mistake that I made was I had a lot of the pots like this that had an opening, or it was like a pot with a drainage hole in one of those plastic trays. And I've realized that that is a bad decision when you have had root mealybugs, because they will exit this and travel to the next plant that also has a tray, and they will climb up in there and make themselves at home. So now I have got every single one of these in like plastic cups or pots that do not have any openings at the bottom to contain any kind of root mealy outbreak that may happen. So just make sure if you do have an issue with root mealybugs, you do not have your plants in these pots that have open saucers, because they will escape from there. That is a big mistake that I realized that I was doing, because it's just something I didn't really think about. One thing that I definitely want to talk about in here is my little Hoya Weimannii Cloudy Sky. This one I thought was a goner. You can see down here it has been chopped many a time because it would not grow. It would put out like a partial tendril and then the tip would die off, and then I just cut it back so it'll grow another one. But these 2 leaves right here, okay, I don't have enough hands to gesture to these, but this set of leaves right here is brand new. And look at how gorgeous that splash is. I cannot communicate how much I love this Hoya. It has a very matte texture, almost a little suede-y and very rigid, which I really like. It reminds me a bit of the Caudata texture. And you can also see too, we've got some new leaves there in the middle. I'm just making sure I was letting this dry out way too much before, which was part of the problem. And now I'm just making sure that I do keep it hydrated and really close to the grow light. And then let's see, any other updates in here? I've got my Rinsei Borneo, which was really infested with root mealies. I love this plant. I would love for this to grow, but it is notoriously slow, and the root mealybugs do not make things any better. It does have a little bump right there. Oop, right here. If you see that, that is new. So I don't know if that is going to result in anything, but we can hope. And then I'm not going to talk about every single plant in here, obviously, because we will be here for a million years. Chopped up my Ganyan Giding, chopped up my Dischidia lancifolia because all of the leaves were crisping up. And I don't even want to talk about this because you know how much I've talked about that I love this plant so much. And it's really scaring me right now that you see how like these leaves are all crinkly. These look okay. So I'm hoping that some of these will come back and start growing, even if like this part doesn't, because I'm just going to be super upset if I lose that plant. all together because it is so pretty, and it sun stresses this like really dark purple, which is just gorgeous. And then my New Guinea Ghost, who is super dehydrated looking. Look at how terrible those leaves look. But I am just leaving it alone because it's done this like 100 times where the roots just rot or it has mealies or whatever, and I have to repot it and it'll come back eventually. So I'm just going to leave it alone and we'll see what happens. And then over here, we have got Hoya, like I said. So we've got some Hoya up here. These are like my smaller ones. I've got my little serpens that I just repot out of the tiny pot that it came in, and it has got some new growth. You can see that really pink leaf right there. New growth points. I really love that one. If you want a small leaved Hoya, I just really think the serpens is like the best one out of all of them. And there's some Dischidia that I really like too. And then we've got this guy who's starting to grow again. This is my Lacanosa Queen Midori. Looking really cute. We've got some sun stressing going on. And then I've also got a few that I had in my propagation bins. Like I've got my Hypalasia right here, and my Clemenciorum and my Sulawesiana outer variegated that were in my prop box that I just moved out because they were starting to root, and I want them to go ahead and acclimate to my ambient because I'm going to be growing them out here. And then we have got my larger Hoya. We have got this one right here. This is the Lampion Red or something. I really love this one. It has kind of like Clemenciorum, a Clemenciorum look to it. Maybe it is somehow related. But this one has not grown a ton. It put out this new tendril, but the tip died off. So I'm kind of considering just chopping this up. It has these really nice long leaves. I really like that one. And then let's see, we've got my Silver Heart. This is another one that I really love that I'm kind of stressed about because it's, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like turgid. Is that the right word? I think I've heard other people use that. Yeah, it just feels kind of thin. And it's scaring me because I absolutely adore this one, how it has this kind of like splash along the margins. I can't remember what this is. I need to find the name tag, or I need to find what that is and make a name tag for it at least. My Argentia Princess, which is going insane, it put out, I don't know if you can see how big this thing is, but it put out this other growth point down here. So I've got that one that's putting out a bunch of leaves. We've got this top one that's putting out a bunch of leaves. I've got a bunch of props that I put down in here also. And we've got some new growth points kind of popping up from those. So that one is going to be a very lush plant before too long. And I'm kind of debating on just letting it trail like my normal Carnosa intervariegated and my Queen. I have them just in hanging planters and kind of trailing over the edge. And I think I may do that with this one as well, just because it is getting kind of big and growing really quickly. And then, yeah, we've got a lot of my Hoya that used to be in my Acrobar cabinet in this direction. These have all been repot because of the root millie situation. So hopefully these will start doing a little bit better. I do have some growth points on a lot of them now. My Rigidifolia in the back's doing pretty well. We've got the pricked high. This one is still feeling pretty thin, but again, we do have some new growth points happening. And then this guy is finally giving me a new leaf. I can't remember what this one is. This is not going to be a very educational video, y'all. I have to look up the names and redo the tags. I lost a lot of the tags when I did all of these repots. I know that I got those from Steve's Leaves. I just can't remember the variety of that one. And then in this area, we have got some of my new Hoya, which I need to move this one because I don't want to disclose. That is a future video that we are doing. Some of my little new Hoya. These are ones that I just talked about. They are doing well. I may have forgotten to talk about this one. This is a Kalimantan mini coin variegated. This is a really cool one. It's just a little baby, but you can see we've got a little growth point there in the middle. So that's exciting. And then this one, the Lima Silver, is growing like crazy. We've got new leaves. That one's not doing much yet, but this Dischidia Hirsuta Papua, it's got a lot of new growth there. And then also look at how purple my Lambii AFF is. I thought it was sunstressed before, And then I put it over here under these Barinas, and you can see how close it is. And it has just gone absolutely crazy. I did try to propagate it when I repot it because of the root mildew situation, which are these leaves down here that are not as pink. They're like purpley. And they actually feel really good. So I'm hoping that those will take, and I'll have a couple of vines to propagate from in the future. Then I don't think there's much to note down here. I talk about a lot of these a lot. Oh my gosh, the dogs are going crazy. Okay, but on to this top area. So the most notable change that you probably noticed already is that I have moved my philodendron Weeks Red over here because it is so big. And I had some extra vertical space over here because I got rid of like the chia pence that used to be here because I propagated her. But she used to be on a bamboo pole, and she went all the way up essentially to the ceiling, which is pretty tall. And once I propagated her, I had that space available, and I got rid of a couple of plants. So I moved it. It used to be over here, but this xanthosoma is getting so big that it needed more space. So see, this is the issue when you have plants for a long time and they start getting really mature and big. You just really legitimately run out of space really quickly. It's not like when they were babies and you can just shove a bunch of small plants all in one space. They take up a lot of room. But it is doing really well over here. I have grown this in all light conditions and it has done fine in pretty much all of them. I really need to propagate it. Look how long the stem is. And I honestly don't mind it growing like this and just having the leaves at the top because it gives more room for these other plants to have some space down at the bottom without those leaves being in the way. And it still looks good because the leaves are so big and they come out so far and hang down and take up a lot of space. So this is the one that I talk about a lot with the really pretty backs that are kind of like red and green, kind of like paint brush strokes. Really beautiful, super easygoing philodendron. If you want one that gets really large and is pretty easy to take care of, this is a really good plant. And then we have got my sad, oh God, I hate looking at this right now, but I'm trying to not be super impatient and just immediately switch it out because it could start growing. I mean, you can see it has like the tip of a new leaf right there. And then the growth point on the other vine. So I don't know. I'm trying to be patient and give it a little bit more time. We have got my Certostemma johnstonii. Certosperma. I keep calling it Certostemma. Certosperma johnstonii back here. And I did let this one crisp up a little bit because I was trying to figure out this. I got this at Home Depot. So I think that I talked about this in a previous video that I had gotten this from Home Depot. It was one of the ones that was like $45, which was a good deal because there's just like so many that are in the pot. And this was one that I was really on the lookout for. Like I really wanted this one because it has the coolest veins, how pink they are. And the backs of the leaves have that crazy purple. It's almost like a Hoya clemensiorum Ache type vibe. Super cool plant. And they've got these super like stripy, spiky stems. So it's just like very weird and alien and super interesting colors. If that's kind of your vibe. That is a newer leaf. You can see how pretty it is with those pink veins. But I was trying to experiment to figure out exactly how much water it wanted because this is a semi-aquatic plant. And I have got it in just my normal, look at those roots. And you can hear the water down in there. In my normal substrate mix, it's like tree fern, perlite, orchid bark, just like some residual soil, whatever. Same thing I always talk about. I've got it in that with a layer of pond at the bottom. And I was trying to figure out when you say semi-aquatic, like what does that mean? Like what water level does it actually want to be happy and to not crisp up and everything? And the answer is I would just classify this as almost an aquatic plant. Like I normally keep this planter at least halfway full of water. And you can see how good the roots look. Like they are not rotting at all. They are doing phenomenal. So it wants to constantly be sitting like halfway in water. And this is in, like I said, an organic substrate with pond at the bottom. And it is just constantly totally soaked. And that is what it wants. And then I also moved it over here so it could be next to the humidifier. So it gets additional humidity. I am kind of babying this plant and giving it like a little bit of extra care for its conditions, because this is just one that I really, really love, and I am interested in keeping it around for a long time and letting it get really healthy. And you can see since I moved it over here, we've got new leaves. We have got way less crisping. That is a newer leaf also, and this one's not crispy at all at the ends. It is a little beat up just because sometimes they have a hard time coming out with these spiky stems, but that's not a big deal for me. Like, how beautiful is that? Yeah, I just absolutely adore this plant. One of my absolute favorite plants, and I will continue to baby it over here. And it gets like really good light from this window, and then I have a Sandseed grow light, and then the humidifier and everything. So I've really, got her all set up over here, and then I just make sure that that always stays about halfway full of water for her to grow in there. And then we've got a couple of other things that I've done recently. So this I have recently repot. This is a plant I have a lot of issues with. It is a Caladium palichosii, and I keep trying to grow it. Let me move it up to the light, because it is just such a cool caladium, like this leaf shape. I've talked about this before, reminding me of an alocasia, I can't remember the variety, but it really reminds me of this one specific type of alocasia. It has these little like white speckles of variegation on it, and it's so pretty, but it has just been really difficult and really hard to make happy. You can see this is like a very common occurrence where the tips just crisp up and it starts looking kind of funky and yellowy a little bit. But I recently repot her, and this is another one that I normally let sit in a little bit of water because it likes to be much more moist. But because I just repot it, I want to give it a little while to settle in before I just let this sit in water, because I feel like those roots are probably going to rot, even if it likes being in water normally because of the trauma from being repot and whatnot. But I'm hoping that it will kind of enjoy the more room. And I use my anthurium mix in this because it works better when you keep them kind of like in an almost semi-hydro situation, because it is so well draining. It's just, like I said, just like a lot of perlite and orchid bark and tree fern. So it works out really well in that situation. But again, I'm going to wait until she has a little bit more roots going on over there. And then this one, so this is one of the few anthurium that I do grow in ambient. This is a Hoffmanii. Do I have a tag? Yes, I do. Thank goodness. A Hoffmanii crossed with Michelle. And I got this a million years ago, and I almost got rid of this several times because the leaves were just not coming out super great. Like, they look nothing like the original photos. It kind of lost its pizzazz. And then this is its first leaf that it gave me in ambient, and holy moly, like, that is so beautiful. I love the veining, and it's really pillowy and this like really sharp, it's like round with this really sharp tip. So that makes me really happy that this one seems to like it in ambient, because I do like to have just a couple of anthurium out here because they are my favorite genus, or one of my favorite genus alongside Hoya. So I like to have them out here where I can see them. This is another one of my ambient anthurium. This is more of just like a typical green form. This is the Urbanii, and she has gotten so big. Like, that's her last leaf. And then this was her most recent leaf, which is really big. And she's just really cool, like a lot of like ridges. Interesting. She has an absolutely gorgeous flower, which I can show you right now. I don't know how well it's going to pick up over here in this lighting. But it is very purple. It's like a dark plum color, and the pollen is bright orange. So it's like very Halloween-y, and she flowers just absolutely prolifically, constantly flowering out of every single leaf. And she's got a couple of like little pups here at the bottom that I'm just going to let grow out, so she's a little bit fuller, although I'll probably have to separate those at some point because she's pretty big. So I don't know how much room I'm going to have for all of those to get that same size. And yeah, you can see all the spider webs in the window from these spiders that I have mixed emotions about them because I hate the way it looks, but they are helping with the pests and stuff. So I think I'm just going to leave them alone for now. And then I chopped up my Monstera albo, which I bought as a white tiger. I don't know if that means anything. And my Burl Marks Flame, just because they were getting really leggy and I wanted to start them over. I'll probably sell some of the props of this albo at some point. And then just a couple of anthurium. This is one that's not doing the best. What is this? Altivera Pizense. This is a really cool one with like wavy leaf margins, but she has just not been having the best time. I did repot her though And she does have some roots and another new leaf coming in on this other little stalk. So we'll see. Maybe she's a little bit happier over here. I've been moving things around, like I said. And then I'm super excited to say my Cupola spathum is putting out a new leaf. And look at how big it is. Ooh, is that a spider? What the heck kind of bug is that? What is that? Hello? It looks like a little squat moth. Anyway. I don't think that is anything to be concerned about. But we have got this giant emergent. This anthurium gets massive. So its previous 2 leaves were not very large because I had converted it to ambient. And, you know, some anthurium, it just takes a long time for them to put out a new leaf. But you can see how large that little bug is cracking me up. Every time I get close to him, he's like, get away from me. Get away from me. Leave me alone. But you can see how big that emergent is. So I'm expecting that leaf is going to be pretty large. And then my Shoddy Autumn Velvet. This is one of 2 that I have. The other one I put back in my grow tent because it just I have a hard time with the mother one. And the only time she's ever grown well is in the tent, but she gets really big. So yeah, it's a struggle. I need a bigger tent. That is the answer to that problem, unfortunately. But this is another one of my favorite anthurium, just gorgeous veins. That structure is just incredible. And I feel like people don't like her quite as much just because she is like a typical green form. Like she's not super dark like a lot of the velvet types. But in my opinion, she's just more beautiful than a lot of them. But it does look like she's about to give me a new leaf also. So that is fun. And then my Thaumatophyllum, I also repot, and it looks like she is about to give me a new leaf. This is my Thaumatophyllum williamsii. And this is one that I always talk about being so funny because if you see her roots in here, like right in front of my thumb, that pink right there and right in here, her roots are like anthurium roots, which is so funny. You know, philodendron roots, in my experience, have not been nearly as chonky and funny and fuzzy as anthurium roots, but this one is very much like that. And I know, obviously, Thaumatophyllum is another genus of plants. Anyways, it has funny roots in comparison to like some other roots that you would expect from something that looks and feels like this, like philodendron. This plant is gorgeous. I got the best deal on this like 6 months to a year ago, and she has been growing really steadily. I just think she likes a more well-draining substrate like anthurium. So I've got her in my anthurium mix, and I think she's going to grow much better because her roots already look way better, and she's about to give me a new leaf. So hopefully that one will be a little bit bigger. And then I previously I have a couple of alocasia here that I had on this shelf, and I've moved them up here because this one, which is, I'm scared to even talk about this one because I feel like it is always, with many alocasia, a breath away, one mistake away from certain death. And I really do not want to kill this one because look how gorgeous that is. This is my alocasia silver dragon, and we've got a new leaf on the way. I've also got my alocasia in my anthurium mix, but I have got them in like a self-watering wick situation. Please disregard all the algae. That is just the downside of growing in a clear container in natural light. That is going to happen, and I probably should clean that out at some point. But yeah, it's just the most gorgeous variegation. So I'm really hoping that she will do a little bit better up here because you can see that was her last leaf, and you see it's looking kind of bleached. So I honestly think that light was just a little bit too close for her liking. And then this is a cool one. So this is the only other plant other than my variegated money tree over there that I have ever found that is sport variegated. And it's not that these dragon scales, like variegated dragon scales, are not as uncommon as they used to be, but I thought it was really cool. And for like $10, I was willing to give it a shot. The last leaf that it was putting out was actually all white. So I do actually have a feeling that this one may present a little bit more variegation in the future. But you can see how pretty and splashy that is. And the only reason I even got this plant is not just because it's sport variegated, but because my variegated dragon scale is one of the few alocasia that I really do miss and regret having killed off because it was so beautiful. And I'm hoping that since I've repot this and it's in, you know, like fairly bright light here from the Sandsea bulbs, but it's not as close as it was on this shelf. So I'm hoping that is like a more ideal lighting condition. And I'm hoping that the new leaves may come out even a little bit more variegated, since that last one was, oh my gosh, this philodendron weeks red is all in the way. Since that last leaf was totally white, I think that there is the potential for that. And then this guy, this is another new one. I found this at Home Depot recently. So if you have been looking for a Peltigerum, they're at Home Depot at present. Whenever this video comes out, I found this about a week prior to right now. And I have got her in my typical Anthurium mix. She's sitting in a little bit of water because she has just been drying out so fast, because she was used to being in like that really dense peat from when you buy plants at big box stores, their typical kind of like pure peat mix, because they were at the nursery before. And it's really sad that the new leaf, the emergent, did get damaged, but it is still expanding and it's not dying off. So I'm hoping that, you know, she's getting some bright light, some pretty good humidity. I do have another humidifier right up there. And hopefully, you know, she'll start rooting before long and that next leaf will come out a little bit better. My pink princess is starting to grow again since I chopped her and put 2 of the plants together. This is my original mother plant with the larger leaves. And then this one right here was a pup off of this plant when I originally got it a million years ago. And I grew the pup out and I grew the mother plant out, and she was just driving me insane because she will not go to caterpillar. I don't know what the answer is. And she was just getting too tall and gangly, and I broke a few leaves off. So I was just like, I'm just going to chop her back to where this one is and let them kind of like regrow at the same rate up this moss pole. But she's got gorgeous variegation, which is why I've kept her. One of the few pink princess, and trust me, I have been through a lot, that actually have a really good variegation. And that's both of them. This is more of like the galaxy type. What do they call this? Like the splash or the, I feel like it was called the galaxy when it came out. I can't really remember. But yeah, I'm really hoping that eventually we will have some big leaves on 2 vines and she will be in caterpillar. That is probably an insane dream that will never happen, knowing how Pink Princess is, but I'm still going to hope for that. And then we have got my Aglaonema Pictum bicolor, which was a very surprising find at Home Depot several months ago. And she's been doing pretty well. She's got some like new baby stalks coming out like right here. I've realized that this one is very much like the tricolor in that it does not like to dry out. Like it likes to stay very moist at all times. And since I've been keeping her more moist, her roots have been growing in far better and her leaves have been coming out a lot nicer and larger. Like you can see, this is a leaf since I've been keeping her more moist. And then the previous leaves down here are just kind of like discolored and not quite as nice. But absolutely gorgeous plant. I do prefer this one over the bicolor or the tricolor, just because I like how this one's more of like a minty, like the dark and the minty versus the more green of the tricolor. Not that I don't like the tricolor. The tricolor is also gorgeous, but if I had to choose between the two, because I'm not having both, this is definitely my preference. And this is one that had been on my radar for quite a long time, but I never thought that I would see it because it was even kind of difficult to find online. Like the last time that I checked, which was quite a while ago. So when I saw it at Home Depot, I was like flabbergasted, and it was, I think, like $8. It was in one of those like really tiny globes, and it was on sale. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is, really my lucky day here. But yeah, just beautiful. All these minty tones of this like minty gorgeousness. And then my spilled milk, Aglaonema spilled milk back here is doing really well. I recently repot her because she was just outgrowing the pot that she was in. Gorgeous variegation. I like this one because it has like so many types of variegation all together. So you have like some minty, some more albo, some that comes in kind of yellow, some that looks all white. Like this one's kind of like limey yellow. Gorgeous plant, and it's been really easy. And then we have got my Carnosa Freckles, which is growing eventually. This vine looks great. Like, look at that splash. This one's coming in not splashy at all. So I'm going to see what this next set of leaves looks like. And if it looks like this and not this, I'm just going to keep chopping that back until I get a lot of that. And then a couple of surprising updates. So first of all, look at this giant new leaf on my Alocasia Wintii Aurea. Yeah, this is the Aurea, like the gold colored variegation. That was the last one. This one has been doing really well since I put it in the same Anthurium tree fern mix in a self-watering, it really likes that. And this has been the most success I've ever had with this alocasia. So I'm kind of mind blown. But it's doing so well and it's so pretty and it's got a new leaf on the way too. I've also got this is the, it's like more of a grayish purple variegation versus the gold one. But that is obviously just a little baby. That one died all the way back. And I didn't expect that one to come back, but it did. So, man, this variegation is so pretty. I also repotted this caladium recently. I thought that it was totally reverting because it was previously like this. This was kind of like what I wanted. And it just started going all pink. But then it put out its most recent leaf, has this cute little green ear, which I really like. So, yeah, she's getting kind of thin as she gets larger. I talked about these like Thai hybrid caladiums. Like, look how cool that is. These Thai hybrid caladiums feeling a little bit thicker. And this one, I think, is more like reverting towards one or the other parent plants. But it's still really beautiful. I like that pop of color. I don't have a ton of color over here. And I've got it next to my little Homelamina pink diamond, who is actually growing again, even though it is giving me all pink leaves. This is a very difficult plant. Has been a giant pain in the butt, but I love it, so I don't get rid of it. And then my Alocasia Polly that actually gave me a leaf that's variegated and it's growing, which is very surprising. Did not expect this. I definitely was expecting this to just rot. Yeah, so I moved it out here under humidifier, which is right here, bright lights. And we are going to see what happens with her because I have her in that same mix. And I've seen what that mix has done for some of my other Alocasia. So we're hoping that this one will actually come back. Man, I used to have a huge, huge Alocasia Polly. I'm so pretty. And then I've got this guy. So we are having some problemos over here with this one. This one had spider mites before, and I do not see active spider mites on here. Like, I don't see the little buggies. But it does have some kind of like funky unfurling damage. So I don't know if this is from where I had like pest treated it when it was small. This is a Rhaphidophora. I don't know what kind this is. It's like the big one, the big narrow version. I can't remember the name today. But she's growing really well. I put her on the moss pole because this is one that I'm really interested in seeing size up because it's so beautiful. And this leaf is definitely bigger, but I am a little concerned about like the whole spider mite situation and the fact that there definitely is, you can see right here and stuff, some damage from when there were mites. So I might take this out and just treat it one more time and let it dry totally before putting it under the lights. But you can see how fresh that leaf is. It's still really shiny and floppy, but really gorgeous variegation. This is very similar, honestly, to the Epiprimnum albo. So I wonder, I mean, I don't really need, because that is so similar to the one that I am having trouble with and I kind of want to get rid of. I probably will just put my Snow Queen pothos on that. And then down a shelf, we have got my Alocasia Gagiana, Alocasia Odora, Blizzard, Mint, variegated, whatever. I was this close to getting rid of this plant, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to save the main plant and pot it up into no drainage, which I did. And you can see how crazy, let me zoom in here, how crazy these roots are going already. And we're just going to see what happens because I really do like this Alocasia. I think I'm just getting kind of like icked out by these really big plants. Nowadays, like I like how Hoya grows so compactly. Even my Anthurium, I feel like don't grow as like chaotically as some of these larger plants. But man, this variegation, just so beautiful. And she does have a new leaf coming. So yeah, we'll see. She's still hanging around for now. And my other Alocasia, this is my Alocasia Grim Reaper, yes, which is a Regal Shields mutation. And I cut all of its leaves back to where it was just a stump because they were all coming out like really wonky and had spider mites. So I just cut them all off. And I've been treating this one to try to prevent any further mite outbreaks. But this one looks way better than the other ones. This one's just really cool. It has like really cool veins and texture on the back of the leaves. It's really wavy. And then I have got some more anthurium over here that I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep these. I really don't. This one I probably will. This is a variegated hooker eye or something. No, this is Plymouthii. Yeah, I think this is like a white variegated Plymouthii, and obviously it's growing super slow because all the leaves it's putting out are like all white almost. So I don't know. I love this one. It's so beautiful, but it has no chlorophyll to grow super well. So I moved it over here. It was on a higher shelf where it was closer to the grow light. So I'm hoping that a little bit less light may do that one good. Same situation over here. This one was giving all variegated leaves. This is a variegated Anthurium gemmonii. And then we have got an Anthurium soul reaper, Anthurium jungle giant, velvet giant, crossed with Fort Sherman. And all the previous leaves were super crusty, but it gave me this leaf, which looks kind of okay. And I'm interested because of the velvet giant, kind of like if it would get somewhat large, but it's been growing kind of crappy. So I don't know if I'm going to have the patience to see it reach maturity before I get rid of that one. This one's been a pain in the butt too. And I found a thrip on this the other day, and I just like had a total meltdown because I've not seen thrips in forever. And so I cut off all the old leaves and just treated it really well. And I guess we'll see. This is the best leaf that it's given me. So maybe the new leaves will look okay. And then this is another one. I really like this one though because the sinus stays really red. But I don't know. It's very similar to my Cupola spathum. And this is the Salgarence, Anthurium Salgarence red. Look how pretty that is. Man, if this one would start growing better, I may get rid of the Cupola spathum. And then we have my only begonia. The only begonia that is still kicking around my collection because all of them have given me so much grief. I'm just sick to death of them. And this is the, what are you? Natuensis. That's it. This is the begonia Natuensis. And she's been pretty happy over here, I guess. Her leaves were looking absolutely terrible. Like they look super crusty and they had this like weird brown splotchy all over it. So I cut all the leaves off and just let her totally regrow. And she is growing pretty steadily. Like we have some new leaves here. There's a little baby leaf. And they're looking pretty healthy. And I've just got her growing in no drainage too because begonias are typically pretty thirsty. Yeah, but I do hope that she continues to do well because I do really like this one. Okay, and then our last shelf over here. Oh, I didn't talk about what I have up top. So I've got a couple of hanging plants over here. We've got like lipstick plant, a couple of Hoyas, my Anthurium pallidiflorum. We have also got a Syndapsis exotica, Anthurium Queen of Hearts, Bertonier. This empty vessel is my Syngonium Mojito Albo combo. And I took props, rerooted them because they had awful spider mites. And you just can't, it's really difficult to treat Syngonium when they have spider mites because they get so big and there's so many leaves to deal with. So I cut a bunch of props off of it, dunked them in spider mite treatment. And when they grew back, I noticed they all had spider mites again. And this time I just threw away all the active growth and I sprayed down the top of the substrate and all of the stems with the pesticide solution. And I'm going to see if they resprout. And if they resprout, I would love that. Like this is heartbreaking because I loved this plant. I loved both of those. And I'm hoping that they'll resprout. But if not, I just cannot deal with spider mites. And then my beloved Spiritus Sancti with that giant leaf that's about to come out. That is exciting. And then what do I have up here? I've got my Philodendron Heterocraspidon, which is actually growing really well, surprisingly. It's a new leaf about to come out. My Staghorn Fern, White Hawk, Anthurium Bernalii. No, that's wrong. Frederichstallii. This one has spider mites a lot too. I need to retreat that just as a preventative. And then my Philodendron Florida Ghost, which is looking super minty in the bright light. Such a pretty plant. And then moving over here, we've got my last Alocasia, which is my, what is this, Platinum? It just gave me this massive new leaf. That is so exciting. And my Hoya Betyllinoides, which is growing like crazy still. That's a new leaf. I love these giant dark leaves. They're so beautiful. No updates on the Stefania Nova. Looks the same. My Mathilda I repotted. My Anthurium SP Morona, which is down to 1 leaf because she always has spider mites. I recently repot my, this is a confusing one. So this is my Philodendron radiatum, and it previously had variegation like this, but it has gone all mint. So now I just get these minty leaves, which, I mean, I still like it. I love the Philodendron radiatum, but it had the prettiest variegation on it before, and I would love for it to go back to this. But I have chopped this and propagated it and tried, and it just wants to be this like lime color. So I'm just going to leave it alone and see what happens, because I still do like the growth of the radiatum. And then let's see, this is just one of my jungle cactus, or actually my last remaining jungle cactus, I think, because I had to throw away my fern leaf cactus and the rest of this plant because they had such bad scale and I just could not combat it. I tried to propagate a million times, regrow, whatever, and these still kind of show some damage from where I was trying to get those little scales off. So I don't know if this one, if I start seeing them pop back up, I probably will not keep this one because they was just stressing me out so much. Yeah, it has like all these spots that like grow too and are kind of crusty. So I don't know. And this is a Hoya. It begins with a K. What are you? Kanyakumariana? I don't know. I love this one. This is a newer Hoya as well, but this has got the cutest wavy leaves, not to be confused with the, is it the Induensis or something? There's another Hoya that has wavy leaves like this. And this one's like a little bit more petite, but the leaves are thin, but very, very rigid. Like, I was surprised by how rigid they are, because you would think leaves that are this petite and cutie would not have that much oomph, but they are very, very rigid. And it's just so cute. There's a variegated version of this as well, but I just really like the green one. I think this is just one where I prefer the green version. Although I may like one strand of the variegated one to plant in with this. I do like that sometimes. It's kind of like a highlight, you know. But yeah, she's really cute. And then I repot this is another caladium. This one was called Tippy Red, but it has not been growing any red. I don't know why. This is another one with really cool veins on the back. I love anything that has this like really like wavy, funky shape. And I moved my Denisii Frida back here. Gorgeous variegation. She does have a peduncle that she has bloomed from before that may bud back up. I don't know. Her tendrils are going everywhere. She really wants to climb more. So I may just kind of let her wrap around this frame or something. And then down here, we have got this guy, which is a new one. This is one that I talked about in, I think it was a reel or something that I made of plant shopping at Home Depot. And every time I went back to Lowe's, every time I went back to Lowe's to get like perlite or orchid bark or something, this one was still there. And I finally was able to get it marked down for $10. And this is an agave. It is I can't remember the species, but the name of it is Kisho Khan. And it is so beautiful. It's this really beautiful variegated, and it has these like really spiky, very, very sharp, very sharp. They are painful red tips, but it is just so incredibly beautiful. And then I recently repot and moved inside. This is another agave. It's Christmas something because it's normally green with red little spikies, although these don't hurt. This one is very painful. These do not hurt. But you can see I had it outside. I normally move them outside for the summer so they can get some, like the heat and the light and grow a little bit better. But this one just really hated it this year and was crisping up and really upset. And I did like gradually move it out there so it could get used to the higher temperature and higher humidity and all of that. But she was just not a fan. So I've got her back inside. She does have a couple of pups too to kind of see if she'll start growing again. My beloved orchid that has still not bloomed. I've got this little guy. This is a type of kalanchoe that I'm trying to grow from a leaf prop. we'll see how that goes. It hasn't really done anything yet. And then this one's Syngiana leuconera, I think, has put out a bunch of new little shoots under here, but only has the one that's really growing. And this one actually bloomed, but it's not getting any bigger. So I'm wondering if because I have it so close to the light, like it doesn't need to get any larger. I don't know, I may move that just as an experiment to see. And then I've got my caladiums over here. I recently repot all of these because they were just growing really rapidly out of their tiny little pots now that it's warmer. And they all seem to be doing pretty well. And I think that's pretty much it for over here. So that is the view from this side. And then I've got on the dining table right now my Dieffenbachia Big Ben, because I have no idea what to do with this plant. I love it, is the problem. It is not the easiest to come across. And I propagated it because it was getting way, way, way too big. And the propagations just desperately needed to be pot up. Like, how gorgeous is this variegation? It has that really like cool tone minty. But I just don't know where to put it because it gets massive. Like, this is a very small size for what it is able to grow into. So I've just got it on the table for now until I can make room somewhere for it. And then in the middle, I have got my Anthurium water dragon, which had some kind of weird, I don't know if it was like pest or bacterial or something funky growing on some of the leaves or showing up on some of the leaves. So I had to give it a prune back. And I took it outside and sprayed it down and just pest treated it and everything. Look at those chunky roots. And hopefully she'll start growing again soon. This was her most recent leaf and it is much smaller and not variegated. And I started pointing this light over here to give it a little bit of supplemental light because it just gets ambient from like, I mean, the south facing is pretty close, right? So I don't know, but these just like a lot of light. So I really don't think that's enough. Maybe that'll help a little bit. I mean, I don't mind the leaves not being massive. Like, this size is fine. I just wish that they would be variegated. Like, this one is not. Yeah, that's not variegated at all, which is disappointing. So yeah, ideally I would only have that one plant on the table. But for now, I just don't have anywhere to put this guy. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then my Tycon is getting huge. That was its last leaf, and it just put out this one right here, which is still soft, but very large. And I've just got this pole for it to kind of grow up. I had to remove the handle from this drawer and put a zip tie through it to hold the pole back because it just kept leaning forwards because it's so heavy. Can I help you, sir? Astro, are you in the jungle? Are you a good boy? Hey, baby. Hi. You want to say hi? He's so sweet, y'all. He's literally like the best dog ever. So he's like, excuse me, who's the best dog ever? Hi, baby. Say we are both the best. Yeah, we're both the best. They want to go back out. To chase lizards. Anyway, so I'm way too zoomed in. Okay. Tycon getting really big. Don't know what we were going to do over here. I mean, I guess theoretically she would fit here for quite some time. Not with that there, though. So that is, I've got to figure out something to do with that. I have got my Mint Monstera, which I got from Home Depot. And this one has been absolutely great. Like, that is its most recent leaf. And it is very minty and very variegated and just absolutely gorgeous. It did have some root rot going on just from, I guess the soil was too dense because it did have some sphagnum in there. So I just repotted it, majority in the Anthurium mix with a little bit of the like sphagnum soil mix put in because I do think this one likes a little bit more of an airy substrate with more drainage. And it has perked up quite a bit. No sign of a new leaf yet. But I did notice a little bit of like root growth and branching. So I think that one will probably do okay. And then this is the other side of the room. So this is opposite the IKEA Vitcho shelf. And we have got my larger plants over here, which I cannot fit on the other side. First of which is my beloved Xanthosoma sagittifolium, which is just absolutely massive. How gorgeous is she? She has these like really deep bluey leaves, purple matte stems. Just incredible. I actually repot her recently into one of these really big basket like net pots, and I had a bag of river rocks from where I have these like fake trees in the entryway, like the outside entryway of my house, because it doesn't get any like enough light over there for anything to grow, and I always forget to water them and stuff. So fake is just the way to go out there. But I use river rocks to weigh the like the frame that the fake like shrubbery was attached to. And I had some left over that I had already washed off and everything. So I literally put a layer of river rocks on the bottom, pond in the middle, which is what she was already planted in, and river rocks on top, because she is so heavy. She could not be held up. And it did just fine, because she did not lose a single leaf, and she is growing this giant new leaf. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that she is super happy with that. And I think this is also technically a semi-aquatic plant, or can be a semi-aquatic plant. From what I remember, the person that I bought it from, I think they said that it grew like outside along their pond or something. So yeah, I do think that they like being in semi-hydro. But she is doing super well. I've just got, obviously like the layer of water on the bottom. And she has been growing like crazy. Below her, I have got my Anthurium hookeri variegated. This one is one of the ones that Sunstress is this really pretty pink color. Love that plant. I did have it away from the window and it was not growing quite as much. So I'm hoping that since it's back in front of the south-facing window that she'll do a little better. My Homelamina SP Java, which is partially variegated. Like this plant, this is the mother side, and this one, yeah, this one does not want to be variegated. She is also flowering. Like, look at all those freaking flowers coming out. And I still love her, even though she's not variegated. But the pups, like this is one of her babies. This one's really variegated. So pretty. And it's got a new leaf coming out that is variegated. So that is exciting. And we have got another baby down there, but that one is already reverted. So yeah, I don't really understand how the variegation works on this plant, because it'll just kind of pop back up and then it'll disappear again. And then we've got my other Xanthosoma just down here. I recently repot this into no drainage. This is a pretty easygoing one. It's Lindley? I don't know. Also known as Magnificum from when I purchased it. That's what they said it was, but I think they renamed it Lindley or something. And then my variegated money tree, who is getting absolutely huge. This thing is at least 4 feet tall now, and it is putting out 4 new leaves here at the top. This is the one that I was talking about, the only sport variegated find that I had ever made. And what a good one. She is so beautiful. It does fade over time like the variegation does. You can see once it gets older, it kind of turns to this green color. But it is still just totally beautiful. And yeah, she's just growing like crazy. I don't know. I'm going to need a really big stake when she keeps growing upwards, because I need that stake to kind of hold her. Or maybe I could let her droop over a little bit. That might be cute. If she like grew up and kind of like drooped over. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see with that one. But for now, she is loving it over here. I've got this, still my all-time favorite grow light from Glorium, with the stand and the 2 heads. So well made, so sturdy. The light is great. Could not recommend enough. If you want a good like tall standing light, this one has been the best one that I've tried. And yeah, gosh, the variegation is so pretty. And that's pretty much it for over here. I did do some updates in this area. So if you've seen my previous videos where I've shown this area, I used to have a philodendron iridescens growing up the wall here and over, but I got rid of that one because it's just a plain green form, and it was way too big. It was growing kind of leggy because it does not get very much light over here, and it was impossible to keep clean and pest treat and all of that just because of the way it's growing up the wall. So I just was like, you know what? I don't even really care about this plant too much. So I got rid of that one, and I put my Aglaonema What are you? This is like the ghost or something. It's like the Silver Bay, but it's the gray, all gray version. And this one is so beautiful. She is blooming like crazy. So she is super happy and she just looks so good. Like I love that really silvery, pretty foliage, and she looks good from the bottom too, like when the way the light shines through the leaves. So I thought she looked really good over there. And then I've got my Spathiphyllum. This is a variegated one. And I moved this over here recently with this grow light. This used to be where the Xanthosoma lindellii was, but I swapped them out because, I don't know, I just wanted to feature this one a little bit more. I like the way that it looked over here in this area where I could see it. And it was also just getting too big for the spot that I had it crammed in over there where the Xanthosoma now lives. So she has a little bit more room over here and I can see her better and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I really like the way this little area is looking with these two swapped out. And then on this side, I used to have this is my Norfolk pine. I used to have her pulled away kind of like over here, but I just moved her over towards the window so she could get more light. And she is growing so much, y'all. I cannot explain how much I love this plant. Like you can see all the new growth, how she's kind of like hanging down, which is like the normal, like the typical growth pattern of this tree. But before it was always like this, where it was like really flat. But now because she's growing, it's starting to hang over like that. And it is just so beautiful. I got this plant at Home Depot around Christmas. Look at the dogs. They are so happy it is not raining. But I got this plant around Christmas, which is normally when the big box stores get them because they're like Christmas trees, you know. And it has several plants in here. It's got like at least 4 big ones. And it may have like another small one down there, but I don't know if they're all going to make it because I'm assuming probably, you know, 1 or 2 might get choked out with as full as it is. But it just looks so good. And this is the perfect place for it because it can grow. It has plenty of room to grow and everything. But I just love the way she looks with her little new growth hanging down. It's so beautiful. And then I've got my Gloriosum still over here. She is doing just fine. This is plenty of light for her. Like I said, this is a south-facing window that this is growing in. So she gets plenty of light over here. Beautiful. And then I have moved my 2, oh my gosh. Sully loves to make Astro chase him. And the thing is, Astro is way faster than Sully, but Astro doesn't know how to maneuver and move around like Sully does, so Sully always beats him in the races. Oh my gosh, now they want to come in. Okay, and then these are the last 2 plants that I have over here, and this is my Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen and Crimson Princess. I previously had them hanging in the same area over there, which is in the east-facing window, which did not get nearly as much sun. Oh yeah, and I do have my staghorn. Those are my mounted staghorn ferns that I talk about occasionally up there that are doing really well. But I used to have the Hoya hanging in this window over here, so they were not getting nearly as much light. And I moved them over here into the south-facing window and repotted them into these giant pots because they just had they were so root bound from being in their little like Home Depot pots for so long. And you can see they've just been growing like crazy. They have all these tendrils sticking out everywhere. This one, the Queen, actually bloomed for me. You can see her little peduncle right there. So I'm hoping that eventually she will rebloom from this. It hasn't been too terribly long since I repot her. So normally they like to get kind of like situated before they'll start blooming again, in my experience, at least in my conditions. And they are putting out these giant leaves. Like, look at how big these leaves are. Even the Queen, like, those are some big leaves. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you like this video and you want to see more content like this from me, please like, please subscribe. It helps me and it helps the channel so much. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.